We go.
All right, guys. We are now live on the NXT Community and Development Update number 13 here for July the 20th. Um, First of all, I just want to let everyone know that we've had to move this to the weekend time slot because we've had a lot of community members demand that, or request, I should say, that we move it to a weekend time slot so that more people can participate and join us live. So today will be the first live update from the weekend time slot. And with me today, I have Bass and Dave, also known as Damalon and Evil Dave, respectively, in the NXT forums. And I have a list here. And myself is Ty Zen, in case you are new to the NXT update here. So I got a couple of screens up here, and I got a list of bullet points here that I want to go over with everyone. First of all, let's get right to it. The first update that I'd like to share with everyone is that QBTC, also known as Elizabeth, or I should say Elizabeth, also known as QBTC on the forums, she has taken over management of the NXT.org website so that she can use her background in website design and marketing to help make it better and to meet the needs of the NXT community. You guys, you have anything to add to that, Bass?
Yes, basically, what happened was that the site was always supposed to be the go-to site for starters and beginners. And over the time, we were getting a lot of comments that basically it wasn't that. So Bitventure, who actually bought the domain for us a few months ago, he decided in the end to give it over to Elizabeth because he didn't have the time anymore, nor the inclination to do it. But he did see the need to that it needed to be done. So Elizabeth had taken over. She's at this moment she is
on holiday,
asking the community what is needed, what they think is needed, but she is taking complete responsibility of the site. She has a decision. This is her profession. She has a company for making websites, so she's taking the end responsibility for making the site.
Okay. I would also like to add, so that the people who are listening will know, I think that there was a couple of 100,000 NXT that was originally paid for development of the NXT.org website. And in this case, due to the community request and the needs of the community, Elizabeth, or QBTC, has stepped up and volunteered her time to manage the website to fit the needs of the NXT community, and she's doing it on a volunteer basis and not a paid basis like it was previously done. So if there's anybody that wants to contribute or donate to assist her with these, please reach out to her and do so. And everyone in the community will appreciate that. Did you have something to add? Oh, go ahead, Bess.
Yeah, it's good to note because that 250,000 next that was donated to the site has been spent on the development of the site. It's not thrown away money.
Yeah.
The designers of basically the whole Next design, Ideenfrische, also a professional in his field, he has received most of the money for that, and he spent many hours designing all these things. So just to make very clear that it's not like 250,000 have been thrown away.
Yeah. So just the community everyone just needs to understand that as the NXT grows and progresses and evolves, then things will change according to the needs of the NXT platform and the community. Did you have something to add, David?
Yeah, I'd just like to stick my nose in. Yeah, I'm just going to stick my nose in here on the Next.org thing for a while. I think it's a really positive development that QBTC is taking over the platform and will be helping bring it forward over the next couple of months. And as far as what I understand from her and other discussions, we're going to focus the next.org on being a point of entry site rather than a generalist site. What I feel, and a lot of other people feel, that we need at this immediate moment is a site where the absolute newbie can think, ooh, I would like some Next, and then be directed to next.org and taken through the entire process from what is Next all the way up to getting their wallet software, buying some Next, and obviously looking after their security correctly. So look on it as the portal to Next. So it's going to be a really good addition to the existing website structure.
Okay, and finally, I'd like to add to that if you have any suggestions for her, you're welcome to leave it in the comments in the forum. However, when you guys leave suggestions, keep in mind that it's always easy to tell people what to do and what not to do. But there's a lot of people that says that the NXT.org site should be like this, should be like that. But no one volunteered to step up to make it better except for Elizabeth. So please give her the grace and the freedom to use her creativity and her professional background in web design to make the site better for the NXT community. Okay, so you're welcome to make suggestions, but keep in mind that she is a professional in that field.
And better yet, instead of making suggestions, you could always volunteer your time or make a donation or any other thing that you could do for active support.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Just
true.
Sort of plug that a little bit.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to update bullet point number 2 here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the recent crash of the NXT due to the theft of NXT from Clee and one of the committees. Since you spoke to Clee about that, could you just spend a couple of minutes just to update the community on the current status of that, Bess?
Yeah, first off, I want to put in that I don't believe that the recent crash has anything to do with the theft.
Okay.
Basically because I checked. Most Next that was stolen were dumped, and it hardly made a dent. The downtrend was already going on much longer. It certainly didn't help, but it's very easy to point out this led to that, and I've noticed that just isn't the case. But from that, yes. 1170 Bitcoin and around 6 million Next was stolen from Clee Hendricus Polymenis. He is one of the original stakeholders, one of the 73 stakeholders. The main cause for this happening is sloppy security. Clee already from the start already said how he secured his account, and basically that was keeping his passwords to all his accounts in a plain text document on a Dropbox server. Let's make completely clear that is not a secure way. That means that if someone breaks into your computer, he can open this, especially if you haven't secured your Dropbox either. You can open it, you can read it out, you can copy it, and you can get into anything. So the fault, also to make totally clear, because this is the way rumors start, the theft had nothing to do with Next. The theft was really a user issue in this way. If I have anyone's passphrase, which basically is the private key, if I have that, I'm not breaking in, I'm using the key to open your vault. So there is, and Next is not designed, nor is Bitcoin, by the way, to keep people out who have that key. It opens, and then you can do with it what you want. So
could you talk?
Yeah.
Could you talk about? You said that the quantity, nearly over 6 million NXT coins were stolen from Klee.
Yeah.
Was that all his, or was that some of it belongs to the NXT community?
Klee was also the treasurer of the infrastructure committee fund. So those next, David is, by the way, a member of that committee. All those next were stolen, and all those next have also been returned. That was about 2.7, 2.8 million next that was stolen, but luckily one of our Chinese users alerted Bitter, the site where all the funds were sent to, and they closed the account. And then they asked Klee to submit a report to the Greek police, where he lives, Greece. And with that report, and with proving that he was who he was, they were gracious enough to refund that money. Not refund, send it back to an account that I made, and I'm keeping it in escrow at this moment.
Okay, and just so that everyone knows too, this what happened to Klee was legitimate. There's no that he's been a very good donor to the NXT community. He has donated to efforts that I've done and to many other people in the NXT community. So this is unfortunate, but it's also a good thing that the community is strong and we were able to work with Beater and get some of those funds back. And anything else on that?
Well, yes. Also, Klee posted this. This is not really next related, but it adds to the story. I think Klee immediately posted on Bitcoin Talk and on the next forums a bounty of 43% of the total Bitcoin that were lost, which is 500 Bitcoin. I think that's one of the largest bounties on a thief that ever was promised. Within a week, the thief had sent 462 Bitcoin back to him. And as far as we know, the hunt is still continuing. The thief wanted to make a deal to close all threads and get him off his back. Initially, Klee pretended to go along with that, but in the end, after he got 462 Bitcoin back, decided, no, I'm not going to do that. We're going to move forward with this. Also, one of the things I do want to stress is part of the funds that came back from Beater were from the infrastructure committee, and part were Klee's own coins. You can follow this on the blockchain, you can see where it goes, and the funds that were recovered were part, but Klee decided, because he felt responsible for community funds, of course, to give back all of the funds of the infrastructure committee in total. So basically, he's not a big holder anymore, at least not of NXT, which is a pity because actually he was one of the most visual and visible and generous stakeholders that we had. He did a lot, so it's a pity that it had to go this way. But again, I'd like to stress this was really a user problem.
Okay. And do you or Dave have any suggestions for people that are using, that have NXT or Bitcoin or any kind of cryptocurrency? What do you suggest that they use to store their passphrase or password or private keys for their coins?
Well, if I can take this one for a little bit, I would say that the safest and most secure method at this very moment of securing a password or passphrase is to write the damn thing down on a piece of paper somewhere. That way, somebody is going to require serious physical access to your machine or to your house to actually access your passphrase. But that's not a practical issue for many people, simply because it's going to be very time-consuming and complex to actually enter your passphrase every time. So the best option would be, firstly, to make sure that you choose a seriously complex password. I mean, at the moment, we're recommending, what's the recommendation limit on the NRS? 35 characters?
35 characters and non-dictionary, so that means no recognizable words in any language, and that's a tough assignment if you know some languages.
No extract from a book.
Mixed capitals and lowercase, numbers mixed in, and special characters mixed in. Basically, the strongest that you can get. 35 is recommended. 30 is also good. Yeah.
Just make sure that it's seriously random. Then after that, you have to figure out a way to safely enter it into your machine to be sure that there are no naughty people listening in between your keyboard and the actual point of entry into the NRS system.
Yeah.
So you need to make sure that your PC is clean of viruses and also of spyware. Don't just rely on your Norton or Mac, but get a dedicated spy scanner that will actually look for keyloggers and any other form of malware that can drop in on what you're copying and pasting or typing directly into your NRS. I recommend Spybot Search and Destroy is a very good start point for that, and there are quite a few others that you can find on the market.
Yeah.
And then as an extra level of security, you want to think about password managers, small pieces of software that will actually completely look after and secure and control your passwords for you. I don't have a hell of a lot of expertise there. Either one of you guys have any sort of recommended password managers that you use?
Yeah, definitely. I would recommend KeePass. KeePass. There are a few others. There's also LastPass, but I wouldn't. For normal sites, I could recommend LastPass, but it's the most consumer friendly. But LastPass stores all the passwords on their server.
Again, a vulnerability.
That's a vulnerable spot. There is, of course, LastPass works with two-factor authentication, which I, by the way, also heavily recommend. But for KeePass works completely local. What I do, I have one USB stick which has a portable version of KeePass on it, and all my passwords for crypto are stored within that, and you can copy that as many times as you would like.
And I also would like to add this so that people who are listening that are unfamiliar with using a safe password manager such as KeePass, is that the USB stick that Bass is referring to, there is a master password that you have to type in before you can access the KeePass file. Just because you store all the passwords and the passphrases and your private keys inside KeePass, that does not mean that someone can get that file and find out what your passwords and passphrases are. They still have to enter the master key password in order to access the KeePass files.
Yeah, and the reason why I do this is because if there is someone trying to brute force it, and it would be on my computer, they have time to do that. If I keep it on a USB stick and just have it in there for a few minutes, good luck to you.
Yeah.
There is one of the things that's very important here, and it's been told to clean many times too, is if there is money involved, be paranoid in this way. Don't become completely paranoid thinking that there are goblins in your computer, but do know that, especially if people know that you are holding these funds, they will in all probability try to attack you. And any lock this is also important. A lock on your home, a lock on your computer is not there to make you completely safe, because any really smart thief can break in, but it's to deter them. If it's very difficult and if it's very clear that it's going to be very difficult, they will probably move on to an easier target.
Yep.
The one other option that may be much easier, but it's a little bit more costly, is that there are certain laptops out there, and this is not to plug Dell computers or anything, but I just happen to have one of their laptops. But if you use their higher grade, professional grade laptops, such as the Dell Precision mobile workstations, they offer the ability to have ejectable hard drives. So once you have your wallet software on there, whether it's NXT or Bitcoin or Litecoin or any cryptocurrency, you are able to eject the hard drive and then reinsert a different hard drive for your everyday computing. So, like for example, like on my on mine, the hard drives are never inside the computer; they're in cold storage. So just that's another option. I just happen to have a Dell Precision mobile workstation, and since it had an ejectable hard drive, that was the one that I chose, the option that I chose to use. And then I also keep the passwords in a password manager as well.
Yeah.
So that's
yeah. It's important to know. This was one of the things that I also was a bit surprised about. What was stolen from Plea was $1 million worth of crypto, and the question arose for many people was, if you have that kind of money, why don't you invest in a computer that is completely offline and only online for short periods of time, just for this? And for large amounts, that is a valid thing. So it's kind of a balance of how much you have and what requirements of security you have. But if you are out there and you do hold 1 million, please invest a small amount in security, because people will be going after you. And if you have Bitcoin, put it in cold storage.
Okay. So the next update topic we have is also another hack, but it's also a very small topic that we don't have complete information about. It's in regards to the DGEX exchange with the NXT that is being stolen from them. I don't have a lot of information on it because I haven't heard anything from Graviton. What is the latest on that? I know you don't have a lot of information on it, Bas, but what are some of the facts that you have heard already?
Basically very little. I know that during a batch, DGEX does batches of payments. That's one of the reasons why payments and withdrawals aren't instantaneous. It sometimes surprise people, but they do it in batches. Few batches are automated, but the next batches are by hand, manual. It happened at that point. 52 Bitcoin and 1 million and something NXT were withdrawn and stolen. That's basically what I know. We have had no real communication about what happened, how it happened, if it can happen again. I know the site is down at this moment for because they also were planning on implementing a new interface and security. So this will be live. They will be live end of July, and I hope we'll get information on what actually happened. Because I'd like to know. I do know, because Graviton did say that all stolen funds were covered by DGEX. So nobody lost money except Graviton himself as a business risk.
Okay. Did you have something to say about that, Dave?
The only thing I'd really want to say about the DGEX hack is that it is unfortunate, but at the same time, it's not exactly a major loss for Graviton. From what I understand, that represents probably less than 5% of his current holdings. So this isn't going to form any sort of threat to DGX's continued existence. So I think that we can happily look forward to DGX opening their doors with a fresh new interface sometime around about the end of this month or the beginning of August.
Yeah, but what I am worried about, and what I do want to know, is what happened and how it happened. Because if it's actually Next related, then it's
It's not
important.
going to be.
No, probably it's business related. The servers weren't secured or whatever. But we need to know. So this is important,
Well,
because it's not the first time that they have had problems with security.
It is true, but there's a hell of a lot of other software behind the NRS client interoperational with any sort of exchange. So it's far more likely that the hack actually occurred at some intermediate point in DGX's own internal processes than that there is actually a vulnerability on the blockchain or in Next itself. If there was a vulnerability and it was exploitable to that level, we would have no money left right now because it would be being exploited.
Okay. So the
I think basically there's nothing really to worry about for the community as a whole, but it would be nice to have more information from DGX about it.
Yes, I agree to that. Other NXT businesses can prevent the same thing if possible.
Yeah.
So that leads us to the fourth update point here that I mentioned in the forums here. The potential high-profile hack targets in the NXT community and the security measures. This is something that I personally think that if you were on this update or anyone else that is would be considered quote-unquote high-profile in the NXT community or in Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency community, I highly recommend that you take security precautions and be careful about how you store and manage your cryptocurrencies, not just NXT, but any cryptocurrency you own, because it appears to me, personally anyway, that the people that are visual and that are public in the public's eye are very high-profile targets for hackers to get to them. So just be careful about that. Take a listen to some of the stuff that Bass has talked about with ways, and Dave has talked about in ways to store and secure your cryptocurrency. There are two people that are online that I would recommend that you, three people I mean, that you would Google and search for that provides very good information on how to do the cold storage that Dave has mentioned. One of them is James D'Angelo from the World Bitcoin Network. He has a very good video that explains about cold storage and how to do it. And you can also Google Andreas Antonopoulos. He also, there's a few videos out there. He does not go into detail about it, but he explains the procedures that needs to be taken to secure your Bitcoins. And then also, I don't know what his real name is, but he goes by the Mad Bitcoin guy. He also has a couple of videos out about cold storage and securing your Bitcoins as well. So I'm not 100% sure that all those techniques and strategies will apply to NXT, but based on my understanding, some of it will be able can be done.
I just got a message from someone on Skype who is called Don P on our forums, and Don P just let me know he's a businessman, and they're developing a dedicated system for such things, which works with VMware, a secure Linux installation, and Next and Bitcoin clients, plus a password manager, which automatically encrypts and backs things up, so you can have a dedicated system for cryptocurrency.
Okay, I would like to point out that if it's using VMware, it's not so much a dedicated system, it's a dedicated virtual machine
an extra shell.
running.
It's an extra shell within. So you have the system and then the VMware, and then you get to, so you have an extra layer.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, let's go into update point number 5, and this is about this, the secure asset exchange. Could you talk about that, Dave? Because you wanted to share that. Now that we've gotten most of the unwanted news out of the way, let's move on to
Well,
the good news here.
Well, basically, I was just going to go through an incredibly long list of fairly short points of good news, because as everybody has no doubt noticed, the first couple of weeks of July were not the very best weeks ever in the history of Next. Price was dropping, and there seemed to be nothing but bad news and trolls on the horizon. But luckily, well, hardly luckily, because we were all working pretty hard for it, there were a hell of a lot of things in development over the last few months, and a lot of them are starting to bear fruit at the moment. In fact, this week there were so many big announcements for Next that I was actually spending a reasonable amount of my time persuading people to push their announcements back so that they wouldn't clash with other people's huge announcements. So I'm just going to run through the very quick list. First thing we have up was, I believe, launched on Monday, was the Secure Asset Exchange, which was an initiative from, I believe, Wesley. I think I'm going to want Baz to help me out on this one.
No, this is by a businessman called Sergey, who lives in New York, as far as I know, and both Kushti, who is our core developer who works on, or amongst other things, the voting system. And Wesley helped him out with it, but they're not actively.
Okay, because I remember. Okay, because I remember Wesley basically being quite active in the promotion of it. Well, what
just real quick to Dave and Baz, just so that in case we have new listeners or viewers on this broadcast, could you just really quickly describe who Wesley is, because he's a pivotal figure in the NXT community? Could you guys just briefly describe who he is?
Briefly describe who he is.
Well, he's Belgian.
He's Belgian. He likes beer. He's
no,
very fond of waffles.
We're not talking about a personal description. We're talking about his role in the NXT community.
Okay. Wesley is basically most well known for being the developer of the GUI, the user interface. If you use Next as it is now, the whole interface has been designed by Wesley. Designed and implemented. And
he is the guy for the client software.
Yeah, and he works closely with Jean-Luc, who is the lead developer, and they work on the current releases.
So basically, Wesley is the core developer for the NXT client.
Yeah.
Or wallet.
Yeah. Well, he is the developer for the NXT client, because I believe 90% of the work on the client came in fact from Wesley, if not more.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's just for the new viewers and the new people that's coming into the NXT community, because sometimes we throw the names of people around, and I just want to make sure the new people understand who they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
But in this actual case, Secure Asset Exchange turned out not to be entirely from Wesley, but to be from Sergey and the guy whose name I've just forgotten that Baz told me a few minutes ago.
Kushti.
Kushti, that was it. Sorry about that, Kushti, mate. It's getting quite late for me. Basically, what the Secure Asset Exchange does is to allow access to the inbuilt Next Asset Exchange that every established Nexter can already get into via the client. The Secure Asset Exchange website now allows anybody, whether they're running an NRS client, even if they've never heard of Next before, that they can now go and purchase assets that are available on the Asset Exchange. So it's like a sort of extra marketplace for the Asset Exchange, one that's out in the public concourse and requires absolutely no or almost no connection with Next whatsoever to get into and start using. So that is a pretty big step, especially for anything that's listed on the Asset Exchange at the moment.
Okay. Okay. So what else you got, Dave?
Oh, there's quite a few bits and pieces. Moving on to even more acidy things and jumping a little bit further forward, on Friday, JL777, a most active member of our community, came up with a mysterious announcement. which was promising to be a very major news for crypto. And it turns out that JL777 has managed to take a NXT asset that was formerly only tradable on the asset exchange, and he has transferred it onto an external cryptocurrency exchange. So that he has basically carried out the trick of transforming an asset on the asset exchange into something that can be traded just like almost any other cryptocurrency. Again, even if you've never got into NXT, you can still buy this asset, which is called JL777 HODL, or JLH for short, and it's currently available on the Poloniex exchange. It launched on Friday and almost immediately doubled in price, and the trade volume and price, well, the trade volume has been zooming up, and the price has been gradually increasing ever since Friday.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know how to sort of express quite what a big step this is, taking that asset from within NXT and pushing it out into the outside world. And again, it works quite well as a sort of with secure asset exchange. This now means that the asset exchange is moving outside of the core NXT ecosystem and is in a situation where literally anybody can start to buy in.
So does that mean that?
Okay,
so does that mean that someone else with Litecoin or Bitcoin or Dogecoin can buy the NXT directly through that that system, or what is the main benefit to a non-technical person?
Well, if you're talking about JLH on Poloniex, you can buy it like any other coin on Poloniex. If you have the sudden desire to buy yourself some conspiracy coins, some black coin, some dark coin, you can just throw some JLH on the pile and pay for it using whichever payment system is current for that market, either Bitcoin or Litecoin, as I understand from Poloniex. Do they have any other markets?
Poloniex has loads of markets, really.
Yeah, but I think all of the markets are either in Bitcoin or Litecoin to whatever. Yeah, so you're going to need either BTC or LTC to buy in to JLH.
Yeah.
Okay.
What's really interesting
you don't
about
need
this,
any NXT.
No, it has nothing to do with NXT anymore in that way, Ty.
It's leading its own life.
It's an asset. For some people it will look like a coin, but it is an asset. So, and this specific asset represents investments in other assets on the asset exchange. So that's what it's backed by.
It's a sort of holding fund.
It's a holding fund. So by buying these with Litecoin or Bitcoin, JLH is also getting new funding into the NXT infrastructure by this way, so they can extend into their holdings. It's not only asset holdings, by the way. The JLH, it also represents holdings in other cryptocurrencies. Basically, that's what it does. But it also means that other assets could be put on any, because this works for Poloniex, it works for other crypto exchanges too. It's both the secure asset exchange, and because the secure asset exchange allows you to put Bitcoin in and get assets. That's basically what that does. This does exactly the same. So if I have an asset, and at this moment it's really difficult inside the NXT community to get funding for assets, at least much more difficult than 1.5 months ago when it started. Now you have several options to go to the much larger crypto world to do this.
Okay. Okay.
Which gets new funding into the NXT ecosystem, making it worth more.
Okay.
I'm very happy.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do you have, Dave?
I'd just like to add a quick summary to the whole Secure AE and JLH story. In a nutshell, Secure AE allows people from outside to come in and buy assets. JLH is an asset that has escaped the asset exchange and is making its own way in the world, just like a proper grown-up coin.
Okay.
And moving on to the next bit of good news. Let me see, we covered that. Oh, Coinomat new brokerage service, or relatively new brokerage service, also listed next on their platform again at the beginning of this week.
What does he
Okay.
do?
Well, let's see.
Okay.
On the exact ins and outs, but you can basically purchase Next using bank transfers and I believe not credit card, but you can also sell them your Next and transfer the balance onto your credit card. So this allows a range of extra options for purchasing and selling Next.
Now, did
Best thing
someone
you can do is go to the website, take a look.
did you help with
Whoops.
that getting the Next onto Coinomat, or did someone else in the community do that?
I have. Baz, do you have any clue, Matt? Think?
Coinomat was also again spearheaded by JL777.
Okay.
Okay. All right. And what do you have on moneypayment.com, Dave?
Again, another brokerage site that listed Next.
Okay. Okay. What about you mentioned here that you'd like to talk about text coins now and NXT and MaxCoin?
Again, that's going to be a fairly short little piece of information. I don't know if everybody noticed this, but in the last week or so, we started getting press releases onto Max Kaiser's website. Or rather, Max Kaiser started to actually handle Next press releases. And up until now, he hasn't said very much about Next in any way whatsoever.
Okay.
But because
I recently saw on my Twitter feed because I have Max Kaiser on my Twitter, and I recently saw that he was starting to follow the NXT Twitter feed now. And do you know what started that, or who is involved with getting that?
Yes, I do. Basically, this is an initiative from Lee, Text Coins Now. He got in contact with Max Kaiser, and during the course of their negotiations, they came to sort of various arrangements that could be mutual for both sides. So now, I believe
just real quick, Dave. Just real quick, Dave. Is because sometimes when we throw the names of people around, new people may not be aware of it. Lee is the owner of Text Coins Now, correct?
Yep. Well,
and
owner is a partner in Text Coins Now, one of the owners.
Okay, and is he the same Lee that was involved? Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say Text Coins Now is basically a mobile payments platform which allows you to transfer cryptocurrencies and, in theory, fiat currencies using an SMS. So basically you can send and receive cryptocurrencies or fiat via an old-school mobile telephone, not necessarily a smartphone. So this is quite an important step for the less technologically developed markets, where smartphone and PC penetration is fairly low, but simple mobile phone penetration is nearly 100%.
Okay, and just so that the audience knows, is this the same Lee and the same Text Coins Now that was involved with the Pay Expo 2014?
Yep, it is indeed.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And he's definitely another asset to our community. So basically, he's entered a partnership with Max Kaiser, which will involve MaxCoin being listed also on Text Coins Now, in addition to Next, which is already the default cryptocurrency. And in exchange for allowing Max to piggyback on Text Coins Now, Max is giving Next a little bit of publicity and possibly coming into closer cooperation with us in the near future. Just have to see how that goes.
Yeah, one of the things that they're developing, as Dave said, Text Coins Now, all these kinds of mobile payment systems are very important for developing countries. They're very, very, very big in Africa.
Huge.
And really huge. We have on that front, Africa runs miles ahead of, let's say, first world countries, because it's a really interesting and easy to use money.
Are you referring to their M-Pesa a mobile payment system?
M-Pesa is one form of it. There are multiple instances of this technology. M-Pesa is the biggest one, but and which means that you can go to your post office or for them to their post office or their supermarket, and there they can get their get their money on there. If a bank goes down there, or if there isn't a bank, because most banks find it much too expensive to open a branch there, then they can't go anywhere. They don't have the money. So they develop this kind of way to handle money. One of the things that Max Kaiser is doing is has a site called Start Join, and one of the projects on there is a project for Ethiopia, and this is where the partnership between TextCoins now and Start Join and Next comes in, because there will be some investment of Next into that project, not from the community per se, but there will be investments there, and that was the start of this. So it's really interesting that Next is also moving into that kind of market, not just here in the Americas or in Europe, but this is a really big thing for developing countries, and I think that's actually great that we're also operating in that space.
Okay. And so do you guys have anything else? We're coming up to the end of the hour here, and I don't want to run this first weekend hangout too late here, because I know it's really late for you guys in Europe.
Okay, well, my favourite piece of good news, because it's been my pet project for the last, seems like almost forever actually. The Danish cryptocurrency exchange, CCEDK, has now started to list Next. And the Next on CCEDK gives Next access to a hell of a lot of fiat markets, both in terms of deposit and withdrawal, if you feel traitorous enough to actually sell your Next for money. So as we speak, Next actually went live on CCEDK around about the middle of Friday. And since then, CCEDK have seen a hell of a lot of new registrations and a reasonable amount of trading volume in Next. Yeah, this is, again, another fairly big step for Next this week. So we've now developed two fiat gateways, plus the Secure Asset Exchange and JLH making its escape. So we've made a hell of a lot of stuff in a really, really, really short time this week. And I think that's something that everybody deserves a round of applause for.
Okay. Well, that's all I have for now, guys. Do y'all have anything else?
Nope, good for me.
Okay.
Nope,
just one last thing. What do you guys think about this update doing it on the weekend versus on the Wednesdays? Because on the Wednesdays I usually have a work conflict, so. Recently, and I know you do also, Bass, so it's difficult for both of us to run these updates. So what do you guys think about this weekend update time slot so far?
Well, I'm happy with the weekend and Sunday night in particular, that's fine, but I would like it a couple of hours earlier.
Okay. I guess we'll try it again at an earlier time next weekend. If you guys are watching this on the YouTube live stream, could you guys leave a comment to let us know if this is a ideal time slot for you guys, and what country that you guys are watching this in? While we're waiting for those comments, just so that we have a couple of questions here by Ye Buds on the YouTube live stream. He asked, where is Mark de Messel? It's his hero, Mark de Messel.
Yes.
Mark is an exciting speaker and an exciting promoter of the NXT platform. And I know that recently, I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I've bookmarked it, but I haven't had a chance to watch it. But I know that he recently did a really great video about NXT. Have any of you guys watched it yet?
No, yesterday he posted a few new interviews that he had done. One with Sovereign Tech, and that was a really great one. Mark has, I think, done 3 or 4 interviews in the last weeks, and they were with really good interviewers too. So thanks to
Okay.
Mark.
Okay. And
Yeah.
And usually,
yes.
sometimes he comes on here, but this time he didn't show up. So probably he's
Yeah.
busy.
So there are several people that regularly come on here that are not able to come on today because of the new time slot. So it'll take a minute to update everyone with the new time slot. The other thing too is that Yebuds also has, well, he has a comment about the Graviton hack does not hurt DGEX, but it hurts the shareholders. So that's more of a business comment and a shareholder comment. So I don't know what to say about that. But he did ask, whatever happened to Cointropolis John?
Yeah, if only we knew.
It's a good question.
Yeah, it's a good question. A few people have been in contact with him in the first few weeks after the Pay Expo and after the hack. But what I understand now is that they're both Nicky Nickel and John are on holiday. But I haven't heard very much from him, and personally, I am really disappointed in how it went. Because they also have a share out there, a Cointropolis share, and I understand that even the shareholders don't hear anything. So from my personal view, is also because I come from a communication background, is that really is very badly handled.
Okay. Yeah, and I have not heard from John either. After the Cointropolis hack, I know myself and you and David, I think, and Elizabeth, we had a Skype conversation with him, but I have never been able to get a hold of him since. I have attempted to call him 3 times, and I emailed him on Skype multiple times, but I never heard back from him. So that, like I mentioned in the forum before, I'm not a detective, so I'm not going to continue chasing him or trying to find out what went happen. I need to move on and spend my time promoting the NXT platform. So.
Yep, that is exactly the exactly the correct attitude to be taking. We could spend all our time looking back at sort of guys who have fallen by the roadside or decided to step out for whatever reason. But we've got so many positive things going on at the moment. The only place we need to be going is onwards and upwards.
Yeah.
Well, my biggest problem with it, and that's something, but that is something for the shareholders, is people bought shares, and they want to know what's going on with their money. But this is something that I would like to refer to the shareholders themselves, because we need to learn that too. Is yank on the chain of his email and send him emails. What's happening?
Yeah.
That's what I would do.
And the last question Yebuds has is it a pump and disappear? And I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. So.
Is what a
pump and disappear? I don't. I also don't know. I just.
Yeah. We cannot say. I'm not sure who Yebuds is, but I'm not sure what it is. We don't have no evidence and no facts to prove or disprove anything, so it's better if we don't say anything.
Yeah, my point is you can judge actions, and we've seen the actions or non-actions, but we can't judge motive.
Yeah. Okay. So that's all the questions we have on the YouTube live stream for now. And do you have any questions from the forums? I know you're monitoring the forums there.
No, I didn't see. I'll check.
Okay. If not, then we will go ahead and wrap it up and end this update.
No, nothing.
No, I think now is a good moment to
okay.
close it all up.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. Bass and Dave, thanks for the updates to the NXT community. And thanks everyone that's watching this live on YouTube. And we look forward to seeing you again next Sunday. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this
thank you.
will conclude the NXT Community and Development Update number 13 for July 20th.
Goodbye.
Okay, thanks for watching, guys.
All right. All right.